Going to do a quick experience report on acetildenafil. Now, acetildenafil is another one of those weird PDE5 inhibitors. Otherwise, well, let's just call them, they make your penis fucking big. So they stimulate blood flow to the male's genitalia, is what they do. I couldn't be bothered going into fucking actual terms. Just why not tell you what the fuck it really is? So yeah, it's considered as a sex drug, I suppose. Taken it a few times from 3 different suppliers, but I've only had it, like the first time I had it about 4 or 5 times. But the only problem with the first time I had it is it didn't do anything, and I think the reason for that is because it was just bunk stuff. My supplier basically fobbed me off. I didn't get a GCMS certification with it. Always ask for GCMS there, Mr. and Mrs. Research Chemicals, or non-gender specific research chemicals people, or whatever. Yeah, so the first load of shit was bunk. I had it about 3 or 4 times or some shit, and yeah, each time it had no effect, so I thought to myself, well, this is acetildenafil shit, but it might just be that this fucking powder that they sent me is just flour or some shit, which kind of annoyed me. Got a new supply, and surely enough it actually had some effects, and I'm like, fuck. So I've just been ripped off. Shit happens, I suppose. But anyway, acetildenafil didn't really work as well for me as Viagra or Levitra, for example. I didn't find as such. It still worked, but it was kind of like the quality of erection from acetildenafil or hongdenafil just wasn't the same as the quality that it was from, say, Viagra or Levitra. It was definitely working as a PDE5, and it definitely kept me going, kept me lasting. With the amount of sleep deprivation that I had on the first time I tried it when it worked, it was definitely down to the chemical. But yeah, it just didn't have the same level of effect. I felt weird tingles through my body like I do with the others, but not really any of the other side effects, just a few tingles here and there. I found that it was actually, yeah, slightly underwhelming stuff. It lasts about the same amount of time that Viagra does, but yeah, it just didn't seem to work that well, and I thought to myself, alright, I've only tried it once, I am pretty sleep deprived, etc, etc. It's just down to the sleep deprivation, right? But no, took it maybe another time, or another, no, it was twice with the second batch. And again, it was just, it wasn't that good. It did work, but it was, in my opinion, nowhere near as effective as, say, sildenafil citrate or vardenafil citrate. I thought to myself, alright, maybe I'm just getting bulk batches, but the GCMS did measure up, so I'm thinking, alright, maybe it's a fake GCMS. Got another sample from a much more reputable supplier, who I will not name, GCMS again, and yeah, it was the same again. It was a bit lackluster in contrast to other things. I had to really up the dosage to get the same sort of effect I would from Viagra or Vardenafil. It still essentially worked, you know, it definitely did the job, but much higher doses I could feel it had the same sort of effect with, you know, not as many side effects, but it just wasn't as trustworthy as such as a chemical, I don't think. And yeah, I had a weird psychological feeling when I took it, just a weird, slightly bad, apprehensive feeling. Could have been psychosomatic because the first batch that I had was fake, and sort of remembering that might have sort of, yeah, given me a bad experience from then on that was implanted into the psyche. on a subconscious level, but I honestly don't think that's what it was. But yeah, I didn't find acetildenafil as interesting a compound. It definitely worked, and it could still have potential use as a PDE5 for blood flow to the penis. Although one thing I will say is there wasn't as much sensation loss, but I don't know if that's because it's not as effective or just because it retains more sensation. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about it. That and always check your GCMS references, and always check on Swim to see how the suppliers are going, because yeah, I got fleeced out of that first one. This is the kind of thing well, when it was still legal, I don't know if it's illegal now or if it's illegal or what, due to this new carpet ban, is that it would probably be something useful to have in powder form, because it was legal at the time I had it, just to take with you to a nightclub rather than having Viagra, because basically as embarrassing as it is, sometimes you're on other things and body just doesn't work, or sometimes you just want to be a monster for a while with a fucking hardcore erection for 2 hours. But you could actually hypothetically snort that in a toilet or such. I suppose you could probably buy sildenafil or vardenafil in powder form, but it's much easier to find the generics than it is to find powdered, whereas this acetildenafil one, I found a lot of companies that sold it as powder. But yeah, main points to make, it was kind of underwhelming, kind of sucked ass for what it was supposed to be. It did the job, it just wasn't the most effective trooper for this kind of thing. It would be like, I don't know, the difference between them would be, I guess you're about to go into a somewhat nasty combat zone, a pub. Now, Acetildenafil is a guy, he's got your back, he's got a knife, he has a couple of scraps here and there, and you know, he'll probably help you out, he'll probably be right. Viagra's like a guy who walks in with a fucking pistol and just, like, it doesn't matter that he's had combat experience. He's had a fair bit, but he's not by any means a master. And then Vardenafil is just like this fucking guy who comes in with AKs, grenades, and he's just killed thousands of people throughout his lifetime. That's basically the scale. But yeah, it'll do the job. It's just not as good as other PD5 inhibitors. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to report on acetildenafil. Hope you enjoyed that, and if not, go fuck a cow. No, no, don't actually go fuck a cow. Yeah, fuck you.